All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Let's Talk Football, episode number 14 here. Reaction to Wild Card Weekend. I've been trying to do this for 2 days now. As Josh said here, I've been just postponing it as the days progress. Are you gonna go live ever? This was the worst wild card weekend I've ever seen, but it's okay because it's going to make for a very good divisional round. I'm actually just going to pull up the NFL playoff bracket here. I'm an underdog guy. All right, that's just the way I am. I'm an undercard guy, or what? I'm an underdog guy, and I just like and typically root for underdogs. Let's see here. I'm looking for an updated playoff bracket, not somebody's predictions. Pro Football Network looks like they're going to hook us up here. If you're watching this post live, folks, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button and hitting the sub button if you haven't already. But keep in mind, I'm trying to do these pretty much every single week here. But these are available on streaming sites. The link is down below in this description. For Spotify, if you're an Apple guy, you could just type in Let's Talk Football with Jackson Ostro. Josh, you went to the Texans game. That's awesome, man. Wow. That is very cool. Playoff game, a playoff NFL game. I don't think I've ever been to one of those before. I was just kind of saying, like, the wild card weekend was kind of difficult because I realized how much I've kind of screwed up this YouTube channel. I've always been a huge underdog guy. I've made like maybe 2 Texans videos this entire week, or sorry, this entire year. The Texans one. I haven't really made too many Chiefs videos. Ravens versus Steelers, I've made like I think 2 or 3 Ravens videos in my life. Of course, the Ravens win. I post a ton of Steelers videos. Broncos, Bills. I post a ton of Broncos videos. I literally just posted my first ever Bills video earlier today, and the Bills win. Minnesota versus the Rams. I think I've posted like 2 Rams videos this year. I post almost every other day Vikings content. The Vikings win, or the Vikings lose, Rams win. Tampa, Washington. I live in Tampa Bay, and I've made Buccaneers content every day for a while on my Bucks channel. Haven't made too many Commanders videos this year. Tampa loses, Washington wins, and then obviously I'm a diehard cheesehead, and I've posted 1 or 2 Eagles videos this year, and the Eagles won. So I was saying literally to my girlfriend, we were driving to some family on Saturday, and I was like, here's my worst case scenario for the YouTube channel, not for just football enjoyment, but just for the YouTube channel. Every team that won Saturday, Sunday, Monday was in my worst nightmare, but it's okay. I messed it up. I am just too big of a what's it called? I'm just too big of an underdog story. I absolutely love it here. Dime's proud. What's good? I got Ravens 35-20. It sounds dumb, but trust me. I don't trust you, but I will listen to you. So I'm going to pull up on my phone here just in case we mess it up. On Saturday at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, we have the Houston Texans versus the Kansas City Chiefs. We have Washington at Detroit at 8 p.m. And then on Sunday, we have the Rams at Philadelphia at 3. And then at 6:30, we have the Ravens versus the Bills. That's by far the best game on the slate. The Rams, all these games are going to be really enjoyable. A little bit worried about Houston because you're playing a road game in the playoffs against Kansas City Chiefs. But, Washington, Detroit, I think is going to be a great game, even though I hope and really, I really think and I really do hope the Detroit Lions are going to handily win that game, even if technically it's by, 6 points or, 8 points, 9 points, whatever it is. Rams, Philly, I don't want to get my hopes up too much, but Ravens Bills, man, it's really truthfully going to be a phenomenal game. But let's see here. Keep throwing some live chats in. You guys keep this going. Maybe me down here would be a little bit easier. Let's see if I have any. I don't have anything in the background. Like I said at the beginning of this, if you're watching post, I really don't have too many comments on this wild card slate, which is why I have postponed to this for like 2 straight days. I mean, this is like my worst nightmare, but I tweeted it out. You guys can follow my Twitter down below. Uh, it's going to make for a great divisional round and it's going to make for a great conference championship. But when I think of a wild card team, I think of a wild card team. Like they're a wild card. They could get walloped or they could do the smoking. Packers, my Packers are a really good example for it. And obviously, we ended up getting walloped, even though it was technically a 12-point loss. But the whole 2 versus 7 seed, I'm not a huge fan of. My Packers took down Dallas last year on the road. I think that's the only 7 win against a 2 win in this new wild card format. I'm not a huge fan of it. I really do like the 1st and 2nd seed getting buys, but in theory, it does make a lot of sense. But then when you see the actual product of it, a 2 versus 7, you're like, oh, we kind of all saw that coming here. What's up, Kurum? Hope you're doing good. Divisional round will be better. College football playoff first round games weren't that fun. Very true. Extremely true here. So on Saturday night, we had Houston take down the Chargers 32-12, which came to surprise for a lot of people, myself included, because Houston had really been trending downhill and the Chargers have been trending uphill. The Chargers just won 11 games with a brand new head coach, and Houston went 10-7, and they had so many offensive line issues, and they had so many wide receiver injury issues. No Tank Dell, no Stephon Diggs, and they won the game extremely handily. And DeMeco Ryans telling you why he's, defensive-oriented head coach, put it on a defensive clinic. Justin Herbert throws 4 total interceptions, and the game at no point, except maybe the first quarter, like every sport game out there, felt like, all right, maybe, this game will be a little bit close. And then they followed it up with a Pittsburgh at Baltimore road game. I'd actually called the Pittsburgh Steelers upset heading into that game, one of my few takes I had on the weekend, and they got walloped as well, 28-14. But if you watch that game, didn't really feel good. Didn't feel good about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Don't feel good about their future. Don't feel good about Mike Tomlin. Don't feel good about Russell Wilson. Don't feel good about George Pickens. I don't feel good about Najee Harris entering the open market. I don't feel good about Justin Fields or Russell Wilson being the quarterback for this team next season. I don't feel good about them at all. And, now we have a Baltimore versus Buffalo divisional matchup, so that's going to be awesome. Let's check the chats here. My prediction will be Texans versus Bills, AFC, and Eagles versus Lions. Josh, you're a little biased. I think that would be insane if the Houston Texans take down Kansas City this upcoming weekend, but I think every person on the planet, unless you're a Chiefs fan, would say, hell yeah, sign me up. What's up, Trev? How you doing? How about them Lions? You guys got to be feeling good. No Minnesota, no Los Angeles, no Tampa. The whole playoff format, it's not that it's like super confusing, but this is a very good matchup. I know people are freaking out because Detroit doesn't play mobile quarterbacks right, or doesn't play mobile quarterbacks well. I think that's only because they played the Buffalo Bills and lost just barely. As far as they don't play mobile quarterbacks well, let me even just look at the schedule right now because I don't know where people are getting that. All right, so they beat the Vikings, they beat San Francisco, they beat Chicago. None of those are mobile quarterbacks. They lost to Buffalo. I understand it. That was a crazy game, though, and they lost to them at home. Buffalo's a great regular season team, just like Detroit. Don't mean that in any shade for playoffs or anything like that. And then they won against my Packers, who Jordan Love's not a mobile QB. The Bears again. Was that in Anthony Richardson or was that Jared Goff? Or sorry, Joe Flacco. That was Anthony Richardson. He's a mobile quarterback. They won 24-6. Jacksonville 52-6. Houston, no mobile quarterback. Green Bay, no mobile quarterback. Tennessee, no mobile quarterback. Minnesota, no mobile quarterback. Dallas, no mobile quarterback. Seattle, no mobile quarterback. Arizona, they won. Gus Collar's definitely a mobile quarterback. They won. Then week 2, they lost to Tampa. I wouldn't consider Baker a mobile quarterback. And then week 1 against the Rams, they won in overtime. I wouldn't consider in any way, shape, or form Matt Stafford to be a mobile quarterback. So I'm a little confused why I keep hearing on Monday and Tuesday of this week on TV and articles that Detroit's not good against mobile quarterbacks because I don't think they've even had a proper sample size against mobile quarterbacks, but it is what it is. I've got my Lions channel. It's hitting monetization. It's in review right now. And then I'm going ham on daily Detroit Lions content. I changed the channel name to the Lions Den because there was already a Let's Talk Lions. I only watched the first half of the Vikings versus Rams game. I turned that off halfway through the fourth quarter. I was very pissed off, and the Rockets got their nice little win. But that Vikings Rams game was brutal. I have a picture here because I was going to possibly do a Minnesota video, but it would be negative. So I don't really like talking negative. Most snaps entering unrestricted free agency. Number one is the Minnesota Vikings at 45.4%. So what Minnesota did offensively, but mainly defensively, is they went out there and they signed a bunch of one-year contracts. Jonathan Grenard comes to mind. And now they either have to retain it or fill in the gaps. And I think they're going to retain a good amount of these upcoming free agents here. Minnesota's in a really good spot. As much as people want to rag on them for winning 14 games and scoring 9 total points in the wild card round against the Los Angeles Rams, I am glad we're all able to zoom out and realize the future of the Minnesota Vikings is still, always was, and always should have been JJ McCarthy. It's why he was drafted 10th overall from the Minnesota Vikings, is because he's hopefully, whether you think he is, or whether you think JJ McCarthy can be the future of Minnesota or not, doesn't matter. The Minnesota Vikings drafted JJ McCarthy at the 10th overall pick because they are assuming he is the franchise QB. And so Minnesota had a really interesting season where they beat my Packers and get to 14-2, right? And after that game, people are saying, all right, Sam Darnold was going to command 40 something a year heading into this game. Well, Skip, now that number, because that Packers win, is looking like that's going to start with a 5. And then they lose to the Detroit Lions in week 18 on the road against, probably the Super Bowl contenders, or at least the NFC Championship contenders. And people are saying, all right, maybe he lost a little bit of money. That felt like kind of his first playoff game. But we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And then they did what they did last night, and they lost 27-9 on the road in Arizona to the Los Angeles Rams. And now it is, maybe he's going to get a Baker Mayfield contract somewhere else, but that's why they drafted JJ McCarthy. So the whole Vikings quarterback discourse is really interesting to me because as good of the season was, 14-3 in the regular season, you still, like, I don't want to speak for Vikings fans as a Packers fan, but it's clear, it was always clear that JJ McCarthy was the future guy at quarterback for Minnesota. And then they ripped the 14-3 record, and people are saying, you got to pay him a fat amount of money. And I don't like that at all. I assume that's why Daniel Jones is a part of this roster as well. I don't see Sam Darnold returning to Minnesota, nor do I think it should be a return this upcoming year, unless JJ truly isn't even close to coming back. Thank you, Trev. And I see your $20 super sticker. I appreciate you so much, man. That is awesome. I appreciate you. You've been an OG on these live streams the last couple of episodes. I appreciate that very much. So thank you. We'll leave this up for probably the rest of the show. Check out my new Lions channel, Lions Den. Yeah, it's called like Lions Den YouTube is the actual @ I have posted a couple of stuff in the community tab for the link to it. I can help you out if need be, but it's mainly been re-upload content on here to my Lions channel because I wanted to get it to 1,000 subs and get it to monetization so we can make some cash, which sounds shitty, but it's just the way life goes, the way she goes. But I'm very excited for my Lions channel. I just had a really nice video, but it's called Lions Den YouTube. The Lions Den YouTube. Someone else had Let's Talk Lions, which unfortunately slot playing for the Beers. Slot paying for the Beers. Slows. He's paying for the Beers. A little dono for the Zins. I appreciate you. I feel like I gotta take them. I feel like I gotta dial the Zins back. I keep taking these out. I feel like they make me hiccup. They make my mouth salivate a lot more. But we got 5 cats in here. Throw anything down below, man. Because like I said, this was like my worst case scenario. And I don't have any disrespect for Houston. I have no disrespect for Baltimore, Buffalo, Philadelphia, Washington. That one really pissed me off because I really love making Tampa content. And I really thought they were going to win that game. Not easily, but I really thought they were going to win that game. And then the Rams one last night was just the icing on the cake of just God damn it. But divisional round's going to be awesome. And I guess the one upset of the weekend was Washington. And I love Jada Daniels, and I loved what Dan Quinn is doing over there, and Adam Peters, and I love what Washington is doing, but I was 100,000% rooting for Tampa, living here in that area right now. But it is what it is. Saturday Night Football, Detroit Lions against Washington is definitely must-watch football. I love that Houston gets every Saturday afternoon game on planet Earth, and looks like it's going to be snowing, according to CBS Sports. 33 degrees and snowing in Kansas City. I've heard a lot of comments that people are like concerned about CJ Stroud and the Texans in cold weather. I wouldn't even go that far. I think it's just the divisional round against Kansas City. We could talk about roster. We could talk about trends, momentum, quarterback, overall roster, defense, whatever it is, leaning both sides or, in the middle ground for everybody. But you have a road game in the divisional round against the Kansas City Chiefs. That's going to be unbelievably hard to win. Unbelievably hard to win. Thank you, Trev. I know, man. That one hurt because I know what the Packers can look like, and that wasn't the Packers. And now Jordan Love's getting ripped apart every which way. But 2 seed against Philly, man. The Bears really shafted us. Jordan Love got injured in our finale against the Chicago Bears, and we lost to the Chicago Bears, which is a whole nother can of worms. But we lost to the Bears at home, and now they had the 7th seed, and I would have freaking, at this point, in retrospect, hindsight 2020, I would have loved a road game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in primetime television, but that's not the way she goes. If I had to make a guess right now, man, I still am standing by Detroit versus Kansas City. If I had like my life on the line, gun to the head, not to be so dire, but you have to make a bet. Everything is on the line. I'm still going Kansas City versus Detroit, but I just made a Bills video and I feel really good about the Bills this season. I also really like Baltimore. I do kind of feel like this is the season for Baltimore, or technically Houston for you, Josh, my Houstonians. I do feel like this is the year, even though last year was clearly the year, that Kansas City could be taken down by a Baltimore or Buffalo winner on Sunday Night Football, just because those teams look really good. Those offenses look really good. Their offenses just look better than Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs right now. Their offense, they didn't score over 30 this year, and maybe not against Baltimore in the AFC Championship game, but against Buffalo or Detroit, or even maybe not even Philly, but against Buffalo and Detroit, Kansas City is going to have to score over 30 on paper. You ever come to Houston game? We should drink. I'll be 21 next month. That's crazy how fast time flies. For anyone watching here, Josh George is an OG Rocket supporter. I first started this YouTube channel making only Houston Rocket content pretty much. And that was the year James Harden got traded. So it was a grim, boring, bad couple of years there. But I appreciate you, Josh. And I'll definitely be in Houston, man. I'm trying to get out there. I always say I'm trying to get out there, and then you look at like hotels and Rocket tickets. You I say I want to go to Houston, and then you look at a hotel, the flight, and a Rockets ticket, and you're like, oh, we kind of gotta we kind of gotta get the YouTube back on track here before something like that occurs. But I know Swaggy's rent or Swaggy's lease goes until April, so but he's got a roommate now. Hopefully, I can pull up to Houston, Austin, or Swaggy or hotel. I kind of feel like it's gonna be Detroit versus Baltimore. Respect Josh. That would be cool as well. That would be a very great game. And then we got Dark Dish. I hope Lions and Ravens make it to the Super Bowl. That would be a fun game to watch. There you go. The culture wants Baltimore versus Detroit. As long and coming from a Houston fan himself, Josh George saying, as long as it's not the Chiefs, I am okay with it. Let's hear your predictions down below. We got Houston, Kansas City. I think CJ Stroud's a beast. I wouldn't listen to any of the hate. These quarterbacks get so much hate. It's so annoying and funny at the same time how much quarterbacks get hate. Like I was watching somebody today on TV and they were saying, I think it was J Mac on the herd, and he was like, isn't it just no matter how the game ends, Baltimore versus Buffalo, Sunday night, 6:30 Eastern, no matter how that game goes, whoever loses, the quarterback is going to get shredded like lettuce. It's not even going to be close. They're going to get shredded so unbelievably much. And you do got to win. Buffalo and Baltimore really do have to win, but nobody likes the Chiefs. Or I don't even like saying that because last year 100% rooted for Kansas City against San Francisco because I hate the 49ers. I hate the organization because they've ruined my Packers' lives in my entire adolescent life. But it's showtime for Buffalo and Baltimore, and it sucks because both of these dudes, I think Buffalo is really difficult matchup for Kansas City, but I also think Baltimore is a really tough matchup for Buffalo. But then I don't think Baltimore is a good matchup for Kansas City. So it's like if Buffalo loses this game, I will 100% say the Kansas City Chiefs make the Super Bowl as much as I don't want that. I feel bad for Sam Darnold right now. His offensive line sold a lot of the game. 9 sacks is insane. We haven't talked about that game in too much depth. I was going to make a video. I was going to make maybe even a film review of that game. Darnold 25 of 40 for 245, a touchdown and an interception. Obviously, he got sacked 9 times for 82 yards. I mean, just let that stat sit with you. Sam Darnold got sacked 9 times, which is insane, for 82 yards, which is what happens when you get sacked 9 times in a game. But I'm just saying, you are shooting yourself so much in the foot. And when Los Angeles scored on the opening possession, I became very worried. I do think if this game was played in Minnesota, it would have had a much different outcome, although Vikings fans were very loud, especially in the first quarter right away before they went down. Vikings fans travel well. All NFC North teams, I feel like, travel well. But I feel for Darnold because that was his first ever playoff game. But then at the same time, I do think a team like Las Vegas is going to maybe overpay is like a rude, disrespectful word, but I do feel like a team like the Las Vegas Raiders are going to overpay for him to be the starting quarterback. And even just from the Raiders' perspective, I think that's a good idea. I would draft a quarterback, man. I have a Raiders channel. I don't know if people know that. I got a lot of team channels. And I'll make a Raiders video. And so many people, so many Raiders fans hate the Raiders. And it honestly is rightfully so. The ownership, the management, it hasn't been good for 20 years. Since, honestly, around the time I was born, the Las Vegas Raiders have been just a dumpster fire. And I feel so bad. And all these guys, all these Raiders fans want Aiden O'Connell. And I'm like thinking to myself, oh, I know you did it with Jimmy Garoppolo. I know you just did it with Gardner Minshew, but I would go pick up Sam Darnold in free agency and I would draft a quarterback in the first or second round. But so many people don't think there's a generational QB in this class. And I get it. But then at the same time, man, when you've been through a couple of draft cycles, especially making NFL content, a lot of Bears fans 1 year ago, their worst nightmare was drafting Caleb Williams and getting rid of Justin Fields. And now, if you ask the same Bears fan, they're over the moon. A lot of people, not Washington fans. Washington fans were very enamored by the idea of getting Jaden Daniels. But when he got drafted, a lot of people were saying they crawl out of their cave and they say he's not a good QB. Jaden Daniels is not going to succeed in the NFL. And when JJ got drafted, and who am I missing? Michael Penix got drafted. Oh, what the hell is Atlanta doing? Bo Nix gets drafted by Denver. What the hell are they doing, man? Bo Nix is not a good quarterback. He just was good because he played for Oregon and the Pac-12 was trash and he was just lighting up. He's old too. He played college for like 5 years and he's trash. You have to get the quarterback right, man. If you can't get the quarterback right, you're effed. And sometimes you get lucky with the Sam Darnold. You bring in a good quarterback to a great system with great coaching and great weapons, and it works out. And you go 14-3. And then other times you sign Jimmy Garoppolo and you shit the bed, or you sign Gardner Minshew and you shit the bed. But if you don't have a quarterback, especially, I'm sorry, I'm ranting about the Raiders, the 5-12 Raiders, 4-13 Raiders. But all these talks by Aiden O'Connell, man, I just don't get it. I don't get how you can be a team. I don't get how you can be a fan of a team without a good quarterback and say we have a shot. We have a shot. Rams were going to win as soon as they got that first touchdown. Very similar to, I guess the Packers kind of got screwed over with the kick return and the ruling that Philadelphia recovered. A lot of Packers fans, like myself, thought we recovered the kick return, but you just kind of know in situations like that, oh, this isn't really looking good. Darnold's good when he's not really big on pressure. And that Rams defensive line, you got to tip your cap. You got to give them respect. They pay their dues. And they started a little bit slow, but it's a very young defensive line, and they've really made their impact recently. And the Rams are a really good team with a really good quarterback. Or they're a good team with a really good quarterback. And I would love for them to go into Philadelphia and win, because I'm not a huge Eagles fan, but it's all right. The Lions laid down the blueprint. The Rams just copied us. The Rams had a really crazy thing, which is why management is so important. Coaching is so important. The Rams draft so well. I mean, you got Puka in the 5th round. They just draft so well. And so you have all these franchises that are down bad. The Raiders, the Giants, the Jaguars, the Patriots, the Titans, whoever it is. Now, a lot of these issues can just be solved by drafting better. Just draft better. And that sounds so shitty to say, because what the hell do I know? But just draft. You got to draft well, man. You can go out there and you can be the Rams from their championship season a few years ago, and you can go out there and you can trade for all these studs and you can sign all these studs, the big contracts, and you can go out there and you can win your Super Bowl. But then you got to draft. And the difference between teams like the Lions and the Rams that draft well or spend well in free agency, just such a night and day difference from a team like the Giants or the Titans. I feel bad putting the Titans in there, but obviously that season didn't work out and you still need a quarterback. But you get what I'm saying here. That drafting process is so important, as much as people want to spend in free agency and what have you. And, the Vikings just came off a really good draft class. but they came off an even better free agency class. So if you got the GM, man, you're going to be just fine. Even if you don't have your quarterback quite yet, hopefully it all works out. Like Tom Telesco for the Raiders just drafted really well. JPJ, Brock Bowers, a couple of future Pro Bowlers, already Pro Bowlers, and Brock Bowers. Packers draft well. All the NFC North teams, I feel like, draft relatively well. I don't want to rag on the Bears because I think they also draft well, but there have been some misses in there, Velus Jones, but every team's going to have plenty of misses, man. True, but I think football games are won in the trenches. Vikings have no offensive line with a wide receiver like Justin Jefferson. It makes no difference, and you see it in the film, man. Your offensive line's not protecting, and we knew this heading into the game. Like the Vikings haven't been able to run the ball well all season. It feels like healthy Aaron Jones, unhealthy Aaron Jones, Cam Akers, no Cam Akers, Todd Chandler being your backup don't matter. The Vikings lost their starting left tackle. They lost a stud left tackle right away in the regular season, and they were not able to run the football well at any point in the whole season, it felt like, except for maybe a game or two. And the Rams just big boyed them. And the trenches make all the difference, and that's why you see all these teams right now that are in the divisional round of the playoffs, all of your future Super Bowl contenders, they all have great offensive lines. They all have really great defensive lines. Like you're saying, Trev, they just went in the trenches. So, folks, that's it for me. I'm going to go watch the Bob Dylan movie here, but I got to make some videos in the meantime. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit the like button, hit that sub button. Shout out to Trev for the $20 donation. It means more than you can understand. I appreciate you so much. And as always, this is available on streaming sites. The link is in the description to this stream. And we'll see you in a couple of days. We'll see you when you see you. But obviously, we're doing these every week. So we'll see you soon. Peace.